introduction to myself and to Nature Futures. It's my first time here, so it's very nice to be able to contribute to the discussion and to share with you my insights and observations that I've been learning from nature-based enterprises. Conas a shrukamij on Tochi, which is Irish for how do we get to the future? And that's obviously a question that we're asking ourselves, and nature-based enterprises are one of those key parts to get there. So yes, working with Horizon Nua, doing a project called Invest for Nature. To give you a bit of a background first on that project, it's all about the economics of nature-based solutions. So the goals there are to promote investment in nature-based solutions, to accelerate the market uptake. And that's kind of, delving a bit deeper into the axis of supply and demand. We know already that the demand is there. We do want more nature-based solutions, but there are some barriers there to kind of increase that supply. We want to better understand the economic performance, and we need to talk about how to measure them, how to value the benefits that we derive from them, whether they be economic, whether they be environmental, or whether they be societal. We need to find out how to value them so that we can increase the uptake, get investment into them, and get everybody on board. So I assume, or I hope, that most people online or in the room are pretty familiar with these, NBS, nature-based solutions, and NBEs. Maybe some are a little bit less familiar with that. But to get everybody on the same page, the top there, the nature-based solutions definition from the United Nations Environmental Assembly, given to us in 2022. Importantly, it goes across all landscapes and all sectors. Importantly, it addresses all those three pillars of sustainability: the social, the environmental, and the economic. And then, importantly, nature-based enterprises, what are they? They are just those businesses working very hard to bring nature-based solutions to our society. Yeah, so the research specifically that is happening in Invest for Nature, we want to better understand the supply side, the private sector, the businesses, the NBEs that are supplying to us these nature-based solutions. We wanted to find out the financing and business aspects, the business model aspects of these enterprises, what they're doing and what they kind of need support in, the key market trends, what are the emerging trends in nature-based solutions, how can we leverage those more, and again, into that axis of supply and demand. We also then wanted to, and this is, collaborating with another Horizon Europe project, NBS EduWorld, we wanted to understand the education and training needs of these enterprises from all different sorts of stakeholders. And quickly, the methodology then, just very basic, mixed methods, survey and interviews. The survey, specifically, we have a target there of 200 responses from nature-based enterprises. We are currently at 130 responses. We've kind of identified 30 of those that are not very usable, whether that is because we identified them, they're not really the enterprise that we're hoping to include in this research, or just, the responses weren't usable. So we're obviously looking for some more responses. We importantly want to obviously get a good representation across Europe as well. So we want at least 1 or 2 responses from all EU member states. And there in the bottom left corner, you can see the kind of missing pieces to the puzzle at the moment. We're missing Cyprus, Estonia, Finland, Greece, Hungary, Latvia, Malta, Norway, and Slovakia. So if you are a nature-based enterprise in the room or online, it is your time to be a little bit altruistic and maybe consider responding to the survey. It would be great. We would appreciate it a lot. The interviews target of 50, we're at 40, and we want to gather good representation across the different landscapes that we're kind of using to categorize these nature-based enterprises. So those landscapes or those categories are agriculture, coastal, forestry, urban, and water management. And this graph here just shows essentially the response rate. So what landscapes, what sectors we have the most responses from at the moment. Urban is considerably, further ahead than the others, and there's perhaps answers to why that is. Urban spaces being most densely populated, probably easier to start a business, whether it be nature-based or just profit driven in an urban center. So of course it's high. And as well as those countries, we are really looking to get more responses across these sectors to really make the research as valid and robust as possible. So if you are operating in these sectors, please do consider to do the survey. So what do these nature-based enterprises look like? The majority, 48%, are private limited companies. So that tells you that they're obviously operating for a profit. They're not just operating for societal benefits, not just operating for environmental benefits, and that's important. We have a size of 80% being micro. So 80% are, a lot smaller, very small, and maybe smaller than the traditional SMEs. So that's a different way they're different. 67% have hybrid goals, and this brings us back to they aren't just there for profit. They aren't just there for the environment. They need profit to be sustainable, and we need the environment to be sustainable ourselves. So the hybrid nature of these NBEs is something that's important to kind of take forward. So we've talked already today and before today, I think, about this market demand, the demand for nature-based solutions, the need for nature-based solutions as well. So when asked what is the level of market demand for your products in all sorts of different nature-based solutions, there was a very clear consensus there that there's a strong increase or there's a slight increase. Basically, people want what we have. And the question is then, how do we give all of this? We have some quotes there just from the survey. I really enjoyed the bottom one. The demand has been explosive and they are growing exponentially. These are really good things to hear, obviously, about nature-based enterprises. So we asked then as well, obviously, about financing and how to, bring business and finances, investors into this space is an ongoing discussion. So we wanted to know what were the preferred methods of financing their businesses from the horse's mouth. And we checked it across all these different stages, the startup, the current, and to their future aspirations. Personal finance, obviously, it's a no-brainer, I think, was pretty important in how they started their business, but it rapidly declined into other forms of financing. Profit from their products and services was the most important kind of finance that they want to use. So they want to be independent, I suppose, of different forms of financing, such as institutional, like banks, debt finance. I think MBEs want to avoid the risk of such financing, which is, potentially a smart move. And then the two, public and private. So there's a continuous increase in the need or the want that these nature-based enterprises have for that. And then the barriers to finance. So the previous slide, how they are currently operating and how they want to go in the future. The majority gave us political, and that means kind of a lack of prioritization of nature in legislation and policy. This was the main barrier to, achieving more finance and more investment into their nature-based solutions. A lack of private sector investment. Again, a lack of prioritization in the private sector, and maybe a disconnect between those two worlds is something that that is a huge barrier. The quote here, it's a little bit cut off at the bottom, but this kind of really exemplifies the colliding of the worlds of environmentalists, nature-based enterprises, and the investor world who talk in money and things like this. There's a disparity there, and that's the kind of gaps we need to work on, kind of merging and helping. So then on the education and skills gaps, what support and training do nature-based enterprises need? The highest portion, 29.7%, was about the financing and business models. So a lot of nature-based enterprises want to diversify their income as well. So they need a little bit of help in the education on, the best practices, some good examples of how to diversify this income so that it isn't just grant or concessional funding. It isn't just their profit that they're working on. Measuring impact, of course, is something that we're all talking about in the nature-based solution world. And this is something that nature-based enterprises identified as something that they really need help to measure their impact so that they can value the nature-based solutions so that investors can kind of really get on board with what they're doing. And then this last slide, I think, is just a quick rating of the current education on nature-based solutions for practitioners. Okay, so that came out as a 5.8 rating, which isn't really the best. We would really like, obviously, education on these nature-based solutions, which the demand is so high for already. We really want that education to be quite a lot higher than 5.8 so that we can work on increasing that supply and meeting that demand and achieving the goals of a nature-positive economy. So what's next then? Of course, we still need to finish the research, and then we need to present the findings to everybody, to as many people as possible. So this QR code brings us straight to the survey. If anybody would like to take it online, please consider it as well. The Connecting Nature Enterprise platform will host the findings, and we will present it there. Invest for Nature, as well as a European Commission publication, The Vital Role of Nature-Based Solutions in a Nature-Positive Economy. That's going to be updated with the findings of this research.